In a week of embarrassing text message leaks for the Morrison government, Holly, these are own goals your side can least afford at this stage.
Yeah, look, I couldn't agree more, but Michael and I can probably back each other up here. If you want a friend in politics, get a dog. But also, we see this sort of lack of intellectual depth by the media and the Canberra Press Gallery. Yet again, I'm not quite sure they could find Ukraine on a map. We've got massive issues facing this country and the world, and they want to talk about a text message from Barnaby at a time when he was, not in the same space he is now. He was a backbencher. He wasn't very happy with his position in the world. So, of course, things get said. There's an expression as well, dance like nobody's watching and email and text like your lawyer's going to read it in court. It's probably something everyone could take a bit of a note of after what we've seen this week.
But Holly, he was in cabinet, Barnaby Joyce, at a certain stage when the Prime Minister was a minister under Malcolm Turnbull. He knew all about Scott Morrison.
Yeah, but he also said that at a point in time when he wasn't in a very good space and things have moved on. But if we want to talk about what people put in text messages, rather than have a look at each way elbow and him flip-flopping all over the place, he's had one policy really when it comes to COVID, and that was to pay $6 billion to Australians to get vaccinated. He was out there the other week backing the Kurri Kurri gas plant that was announced by our government last year that has been pilloried by no less than 9 Labor frontbenchers. So they need to come out and say, do they support this gas plant now, or do they stand by their original criticism of it? This is an election that is going to have real ramifications. People in Western Australia are saying elections have consequences if they ever want to see their family and friends in the eastern states again. But if we want to talk about text messages and not what's happening in the economy, what's not talking around global security, well, then everybody deserves what they get, because this is a very, very serious time facing our nation. And if all the journalists can do is cover a series of text messages between, quite frankly, that were very petty, it's really time to grow up, because it's about time we looked at the future of our country and seriously who is the best person to lead it.
Michael Costa.
And as you say, Adam Batt. If you want Adam Batt, vote, Albo in the green. That's
okay, Michael Costa, what's your reading on this? I don't think it can wash off as quickly as what Holly indicates. And I know that the surveys tell us that people are more interested in the pandemic, how they get through it, how they survive, how they keep a job, all that sort of stuff. But boy, this does nothing. That last week that the Liberal Party just had was the worst week they've had since they've been in office.
Well, look, it was obviously a terrible week, and I don't think anybody can spin it any other way. However, I just want to make two points on this. The first is that anybody that's been in politics, quite rightly has been pointed out, it is a vigorous game. It is a brutal game. I sat in the cabinet, and half the people in the cabinet, I didn't have any time for. And being the treasurer, it was, a position where there was very few people going through and expected it. And I'm sure there was text messages about me. I was smart enough not to do, to put anything in text messages. I agree with the proposition that you'd have to be an idiot to put something in a text message. But there are two distinct text messages here. I'll make the point. The one between the minister and Gladys Berejiklian, allegedly, because she has not actually confirmed it, though by her silence it appears that she has. I find, quite a normal one. I mean, most people would think that was the most egregious one, but I don't. I think it's the Barnaby Joyce one, where he sent it through a third party to a third party, which is just bizarre, absolutely bizarre, politically naive and very stupid. In terms of the issues itself, it's all very well for the government, and, I've been in a position where we were in government and we did the same thing, to attack the opposition on having no policies, and that's possibly true. But this small target strategy is actually working.
Yeah.
Governments lose elections, and the government looks like it's in complete disarray, and it needs to pull itself together on this. And the thing I worry about is not so much all these ministers, is what's happening in Morrison's office. I mean, how can a bloke go off to the cricket and his chief of staff not know about it and pull him into gear? They're in election mode. This is just unbelievable. I think there's some real problems at the centre. Whether the opposition has policies or not is really not going to matter in the end, because the opposition's got to be able, the government's got to be able to prosecute the proposition that they're better for the economy, and that is the ultimate issue. But if you're in disarray, that message gets lost. And, the whole context, of course, of that particular thing, you've got to put it in the context of a journalist or a commentator being under challenge himself in the newspaper and then dropping a bombshell, which was a great media tactic to deflect from his particular position, but it was effective. You can't say it wasn't effective.
No,
it was effective. What are you talking about?
Holly, let's move on. I thought today's explanation as to why the Prime Minister forgave Barnaby Joyce was honest, was fair, it was from the heart.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the Scott Morrison that I've known for 20 years. So clearly some of these people have not spent time with Scott. I've known him, I've known Jenny for a really long time, and they're genuinely lovely people who are all of the things that Scott appeared to be today. And he would have honestly forgiven Barnaby. I think he's a bigger person than a lot of other people would be in that instance.
Yeah.
And conducted himself in the way that I certainly know Scott to be. Scott is someone who is, as you know, he's been saying for ages that we were going to go the full term while everyone was yelling he'd go early, he'd go early. When Scott says something, that's the end of it. That's what's going to happen. So some of these people who might disagree with that's his position, maybe haven't spent much time with him or don't pay attention, or quite frankly, probably just don't like the position he's taken on something, which he does tend to stand very true to.
Michael,